And ice is unusual, though, for Johannesburg, but that's exactly what motorists had to negotiate this morning. So how can you remain safe on the roads in these conditions? Automobile Association spokesperson Layton Beard speaks to us now. Layton, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. I mean, in Johannesburg alone, or the Gauteng province, usually you have drivers who misbehave in the rain. So imagine the snow and some of them wanting to take pictures while they're driving, etc. What kind of tips can you give us?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, this is not something that Gauteng drivers, Joburg drivers will be used to. You know, South Africans generally are not exposed to snow on a regular basis. So, I mean, obviously we would advise people do not use your mobile phones while you're driving. If you want to take pictures of the snow, you need to pull over where it's safe to do so. You need to, you know, obviously if you want to stay in your car, you can do that, but do it in a place that is safe. Preferably do not do it on a highway, you know, and make sure that you and other road users are going to be safe if you do want to record, anything. Very importantly, keep your headlights on. The snow will be distracting because it's, you know, obviously these white flakes that are falling down. It's a little different to rain. So you've got to focus very much on the road ahead of you. Make sure you're driving at an appropriate speed. The speed limits are obviously marked on roads, but it's always best in these conditions because the roads are going to be slippery to drive slower than you normally would. Keep your headlights on and make sure that you have both hands on the wheel, you focus on the road ahead, and you're obeying all the other road rules as well. Give way to other road users if you have to, be courteous to them, and obviously make sure that you are driving at a speed that is commensurate with what the conditions of the road determine.
And I think it's also about keeping a safe following distance, isn't it, also, Layton? But also, I don't know if there's any difference. Obviously, when it's raining, we always receive warnings about the wet roads, etc., and how slippery the roads can be. But I found that it was quite different, me driving here this morning, in terms of what I felt around my tires. Maybe because the flakes are actually, you know, sort of not necessarily ice, but icy, you know, before they melt into water. Is there a difference between the two?
Well, I think there would be a difference. There certainly would be a lot more ice on the road, especially in these winter conditions. So, you know, as the snow falls, it's not going to melt right away. So it is going to create that slippery surface. So it's very important. I mean, that's why in some areas of the world you have what they call snow tires, or they put chains on their tires to ensure that they've got a bit more grip. Again, this is just another reason why you should have your tires checked regularly and ensure you're driving on good quality tires that have enough thread. But if you're driving at the moment, you've got to slow down, you've got to keep that following distance, and those roads are definitely going to be a lot slipperier than what they normally would be. So you've got to take all of this into account when you're driving. You can't drive at your normal speed, you can't drive at your, you know, the normal distance that you normally would be behind another vehicle. You've got to keep that following distance, and again, keep your headlights on, look around you, be aware of everything that's happening, because at this stage, you know, if it does start to snow again, it could potentially be very distracting and very dangerous. So our appeal to motorists is, please focus on what you are doing behind the wheel. Don't take your cell phone out. Don't record while you're driving. Keep that following distance and be very, very careful while you're on your way to your destination.
And lastly, Layton, I mean, this is coupled with the fact that now we've been pushed from stage 3, to stage 4 load shedding. So there would be also that issue of traffic lights not working. You know, people have to obviously then exercise caution, but also just be patient with each other.
100%. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant advice. And unfortunately, it probably will get darker earlier today than it normally would. So, you know, because of the load shedding and because of the traffic lights that aren't working, it just means that you've actually got to be extra vigilant when you're behind the wheel. Look out for pedestrians that are on the road as well. You know, you may not always see them in time. So it's very, very critical that you understand that this is a different driving situation to what you normally would be in. You've You've got to account for that. You've got to drive slower, drive to the conditions, be aware that your car may slip a little bit in this icy weather, and obviously compounded by load shedding. So it's a dangerous combination, and certainly we would appeal to people, just be careful, be courteous to each other, understand everybody wants to get to their destination, everybody's in the same boat in terms of load shedding. So it's a bit of a heady mix, but be careful out there, and just take care when you're driving.
Yeah, thank you so much for speaking to us. Layton Beard, he is from the Automobile Association.